So Dean Payne, who's my business partner, BC Bike Race, had approached me, and I didn't know him from a hole in the ground before we went out for coffee. And he says, I got this idea. I want to start BC Bike Race. Of course, it had a different name at the time, and we had to, how that goes. Anyway, so
it's a great name, by the way.
Well, thank you. That was Dean's idea. That wasn't mine.
Okay, he wins.
Yeah. Well, this is a good part about a good thing about a partnership is everybody brings different things to the group mix. Anyway, so I went away, won my third Trans Rockies, came back, and I said, yes, I want to do that. And that was when I knew it was time to transition.
Now, the Trans Rockies is a stage race over how many days?
7.
7 days.
Yeah.
Now, those races were awesome, but from what I understand is that you guys were like, there's too much road. There's too much just basic single track. We want more technical single track. And that's what sets the BC Bike Race apart from every other stage race in the world, is that it's 75, 80% awesome single track.
Yeah. So the Trans Rockies was started by the guys who had started the Transalp, and then that had spurned on the Cape Epic. And so we weren't new to this game. It was just a hot new market. 24 Hours was going off over here, and Xterras were starting up. So the world of cycling was growing and fracturing. But we did think in our minds that there's a different way to do this. We, and love the Germans, height meters. How many height meters will we do today? And then I went to the Transalp, and it was painful. Like, we'd go up for 2 hours on a gravel road, and then you would turn and you would go down a gravel road. 70K an hour. Terrifying.
And eat up all your vertical.
Not even a cow path to hit, or a cow patty for that matter.
Yeah.
So I was like, there's something wrong with this picture. And so the idea was, let's get some single track into it. A whole lot of it.
And that's what works.
Yeah.
Because people love that.
That's when you live here and this is what we ride, that's what we wanted to add our flavor. And there's nothing wrong with the other ones. And each, you go to different restaurants because you want to try different food.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. So our flavor here is awesome single track.
It's a bit woody and slippery and wet and gnarly, but that's our flavor.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Now, your tagline for the BC Bike Race is the ultimate single track experience. And, you guys have hired me for 6 years or 7 years now. And I have to agree that, it is the ultimate single track experience. I've ridden all around the world. I think I've been to like 38 countries or something, and I've ridden up and down mountains. And the thing I like about the BC Bike Race, I'm never a racer. I'm usually just doing, course animations and helping people change flats or managing knees, and I do some POV videos of the feature trails, do a bunch of different things, hand out watermelons at different aid stations and whatnot, and food and water and whatnot. But when I do actually get to ride the course, I love how you can just get into a flow, and with the ribbons, you just follow the ribbons, and when there's a corner, there's 3 ribbons. And even when you go somewhere and you have a guide, you usually stop in the corners, or you have to, get a shuttle or a directions, or you get lost. Flow busters wherever you go all the time, because you don't know where you're going until you know the place. Yeah. But you can go there, not know the trail whatsoever, and then just follow the ribbons, and you're in the flow for hours.
You get in your zone, you get in your flow, and it's an uninterrupted, blissful time. And then you're in that zone with other people, so the camaraderie builds, and it's the communication happens through like grunting and or when somebody stacks it and you hear that and you're like, oh yeah, you're sorry about that hole. It's that's for me part of the beauty of the cross country, and then the meditative state while you're in a lactic zone. Your muscles are loaded with lactic acid. The glycogen is depleted from your brain. Your liver says no more. And then you're at the top of the descent onto the hairiest single track, and you have to navigate down with wiggly arms, and you're huffing and puffing, and your eyes are blurry. And that is the moment I live for.
Yes. Everything else is just waiting.
If you're 5 days into a hard event and you're 3 hours into that event and you hit the gnarliest piece of trail in the most depleted state, that's my moment.
Yes.
So we like to share that.
Yeah. So you've raced, all over the world. You've won big races. You've helped create, one of the most successful stage races of all time in the world, and definitely the most successful one in North America. Have you ever won the BC bike race yourself in the early years?
Well, in the earlier years,
Because you're like a ringer, right? Or you were.
I was kind of tired and slowing down, and it was hard to be motivated. And it was a very competitive field in the first few years. So I think me and my teammate Kevin Calhoun placed second in the first year, and I won a stage with Max Plaxton and a couple of enduro stages when we tried that. But no, I've never won the BC bike race. No, and I've kind of taken more of a back seat just to
Well, you got
shepherding. Yeah, I got a couple of good Canadian, right? Silver.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Sorry.
Sorry. How can you tell when you meet a Canadian?
How can you tell?
He steps on your foot and says sorry. sorry.
You can always tell an American, but not much.
Uh-huh.
Just kidding down there, guys. Just kidding. Uh-huh. Oh, wow. Okay. So, I see you're still riding it, but you're still doing marketing for it. And what's your role now? You and Dean are the head bosses and co-founders, but what are your guys' roles between you and Dean Payne?
Well, like anything, it's a small business, right? And so we probably have a total staff of 5, and some of those are part-time. So everything, what we got to do. My favorite, many hats are, and so we do whatever's needed, and we kind of divide certain aspects to our strengths. My favorite is finding the courses, fine-tuning the courses, dealing with the locals, and trying to make the best event that we can. The best course. And that really is you can't have a good spaghetti without a good sauce, but you also need good noodles. You need good cheese, right? So there's so much more to a full meal. But so we just divide up what needs to be done. We all wear different hats, and we do a lot of team committee decision-making. Yeah.
Okay. Now, another thing that's unique to the BC Bike Race that I don't know if it's unique, but it's very, very important to it is the animations and all the little characters and people, riding in the middle of nowhere, and some guys playing the guitar out there with like a rock outfit, and some guy will have like a banjo, and then you'll come across the corner, and then there's a bunch of girls in hula hoops
and the tiki bar,
and then there's the tiki bar by the bridge,
and the jazz trumpet player,
the jazz trumpet player, and you had me out there with like a giant afro, and
we've had Elvis one time. We had the Devil from the Tour de France. We've got Brett Tippie. What more could you want?
It's amazing because like when you're like seeing spots in the middle of somewhere, a little music, a little some dancing girls or a rad dude singing to you or playing some music is totally motivational.
Yeah. Well, we kind of concluded a lot of the tourism people when we were talking to them in the beginning, like, well, how many people are going to watch the event? Crickets.
Yeah.
You ever watched a cross country? I told my parents after a number of years, my dad kind of was like, do I have to come? You're like, I like the Bastion Square crit because I can see you going around and around. I was kind of like, no, you guys don't have to come. I just need you for a bottle feed at every hour.
Yeah.
So I said, let's turn that upside down. We're in these awesome communities: Powell River, Cumberland, Cowichan Valley, Sechelt. Let's turn it upside down. Like, let's entertain the people from around. We have 36 countries represented on average every year. People come here to ride the trails that we have everywhere in BC. And, you can show them the flavor of your community by getting out there and entertaining them, making it a real positive. Stand on the side, polite clap. This is quite typically, I'm from Victoria, behind the tweed curtain. So, let's be quite conservative with our emotions. Or you got Brett Tippie. Come on, let's go. So we decided that was a better way to turn it around. Get out in costume. People have fun. Bike clubs are animated, energetic groups. Let's involve the bike clubs in a fun way.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's really cool. I love it. I just, when I ride along myself, I'm entertained just by all the people. They're entertained, and everybody wins.
Do-si-do.
Yeah. So another thing that you do is you work and you give money back and support back to the trail groups, and you put your money where your mouth is, and some people are worried that there's going to be a race on our trail that's going to be beat. But you guys put a lot of work into the trails before the race and after the race.
On every one of the courses, so we work with a community partner in each one of the communities, the course directors, and then we have a director overall, and then I sort of sit somewhere out there in the sides helping out, and it's a team thing again. And yeah, like, how brushy it gets out in the summer when you're riding, you're whapped in the faces, and then there's bridges that need to be fixed. So in preparation for, it's just one of the things that we focus on, is in preparation for our days in those communities, our routes get brushed, cleaned up, bridges get fixed, maintained. Plus, if there's any projects, et cetera, going on. The new model is moving to in organizing with the clubs, we're moving to a user-based fee group, but we'll always still continue as we hire those course directors to make sure, like, the brushing that gets done. And you don't want that, like, we have to take responsibility as a race for the parts that we're using, any damage that gets done, but we prep it, we clean it afterwards, and the moving forward, there's a fixed user fee that goes to the other trails that are used in the community. So the recognition of the trail builders and the clubs and the volunteer hours have gone in, and yeah, we are a for-profit event, but we are community members, and we're mindful of that all the way through it, from the start to the finish. And then when we turn around, we get to brag about these amazing places, and the people from 36 countries go home and they're like, "Have you been to Cumberland? This is this tiny, amazing town with gourmet trails everywhere." And that, you wouldn't hear that if they're marketing like Tourism Couch and Val, or Comox is marketing to Italy. They're kind of like, yeah, well, you haven't really validated that, but you get a story in Pink Bike, and it's like this day and this day and this day, and these small communities have it. So we're just a cog in the wheel that allows us to talk about those communities, and we have a good time doing that.